Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the eMLB YouTube channel. And today we've got a whole new show for you. I'm Aiden Pearson, the GM of the Atlanta Braves. I'm wearing Rays gear. I know I'm a fan of the Tampa Bay Rays in real life, but I took over the Atlanta Braves in this most recent offseason in 2024. And I'm joined by Brenden, the Orioles GM. Brenden, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Aiden. How yourself?
I'm not bad at all. So this is a pilot episode for a brand new show we're going to attempt here. Working title, mind you, we'll accept ideas in the comments. This is our working title for now. Here's Why You're Wrong is what we're going to call it, presented by the eMLB Sports Network. This is, a new sort of style of thing. You got two of us younger guys, two of the newer guys to the league, just sort of something different than what we see every day. Whether it's on Game of the Day or with Andrew and J Roll, who do a great job on the eMLB Insiders. Make sure to check that out, and also make sure to check out Kamish's streams, which you can find the link to his Twitch down below in the description. But so our sort of concept is similar to a First Take or an Undisputed style of show where we go back and forth on some of the main topics. And boy, we're just going to sort of jump right into it with the month of June. And Brenden, you did a lot of research for this, not more than me, but different style of research than I did. So I'll let you kick it off, but let's talk about trade deadline is here and gone. And boy, was it a fun one.
You know what? And I get an early opportunity to use our tagline. And here's why you're wrong, because you said June. So let's talk about July.
You see, I'm just excited to talk. All right, like
yeah, I could. So during the month of July, 20 teams in the league made trades, and of those 20 teams, 2 teams were more active than everybody else, and that was actually our 2 teams.
The 2 sitting right here, of course, and if I'm not mistaken, I was the most active of deals accepted on deadline day.
Yes, you were. You had 5 deals accepted on deadline day. Miami had 3.
The NL East likes to represent, which we'll get more into what the hell is going on in the NL East here in a little bit. That's a whole nother conversation.
So it's interesting, but both teams that were active on deadline day, both teams that are kind of out of the race already.
Are they though?
I think so at this point in time.
I'll tell you why you're wrong a little bit later, but let's talk a little more about these trades.
All right, let's talk about some trades here. Do you want to start with the big one, the 3-way deal between you, Sadier of the Cleveland Indians?
Let's kick it off with that. We won't talk a whole lot about that because we did a whole episode of the eMLB Insiders podcast where we sit down with Andrew, myself, and Sadier. If you want to hear sort of about how that deal came together, it's still hilarious thinking about how that deal came together. I still sit here and laugh about it.
Yeah, it's a rare example of everyone kind of being able to gain insight at the exact same time, because I think most trades kind of take place over a couple of hours, because GMs are usually working this into their day-to-day life. It's weird that you guys were able to all figure that out there last minute.
It was awesome. So what do you think? And I guess obviously the 3-team deal was the biggest deal, but do you think it's going to have the most impact on the league out of all the deals that were made?
Yes, but only because it's a shuffling of talent. Moving Acuna from the East to the Central changes the landscape of the Central. Moving Molnar to the Indians gives the Indians a strong bat to develop the future. Getting Ramirez off their payroll gives them a lot of flexibility for the future to try and take control of that division. And then you gaining back Ramirez gives you an infielder and trades away an outfielder, because outfield is a position of strength for you. I don't think it is the most impactful deal at the deadline, though. In terms of shaping the league.
That makes sense. And here's sort of like an analysis that I didn't really give on that. I think for me, the biggest thing that I noticed is, I brought in another outfield in the deal with Carney, but something we'll talk about a little later as well when we talk about sort of our teams in general, because I do want to get into a little bit about our specific teams, give people a little more insight, is you talk about talent. I have a top 5 farm system in the eMLB. I'd argue like maybe I don't have necessarily the most 80 overall potentials, but I've definitely got probably the most depth in my farm system out of anyone in the league. So outfield is a position of strength.
I'm going to go ahead and go against the show's premise. I'm going to have a hard time arguing with you on that one. That's an indisputable fact there. But it's a lot of guys at positions you're already strong at. You know, it's one thing to have a really strong farm system, but you're hitting on positions of strength. You've got a lot of starting pitching prospects. You have a really strong starting pitching core at the majors. You have a lot of outfield prospects. You have 4 major league outfielders on your roster right now.
This is very true, but at the same time, and here's why I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. We'll use the tagline for the first time.
I like
Here's
that.
why, and I love how we're just taking this and going in whatever direction it goes, and that's probably my favorite part of the show so far. But one thing that I've shown that I can do as a GM is make trades that I think are going to benefit me in the future, whether it's bringing in prospects, sending people out, creating new roster spots for other guys. Let's take a great example. You talk about how loaded my outfield is, right? I traded away a 50, according to OSA, a 53 potential outfield prospect for a guy who was a 40-something overall to be my backup middle infielder at the time in Taylor Walls. He has now taken over my starting shortstop role and just overall wise has jumped about 15 overall points. I have talent, and for me, having that talent may mean, yeah, some of them get a chance at the big leagues, but a good portion of them can be moved for that superstar because I also have the budget for that superstar. I have one of the biggest budgets in eMLB.
You know, that's true. And, you know, being able to treat your prospects like currency. I feel like a lot of people are tempted to want to hold on to as many prospects as possible to see what they get out of them. But being able to use them as currency to add to your team makes you better. Of course, though, you got to worry about what happens when you run out of that prospect depth. Are you able to keep cycling through? Are you able to keep developing guys from your lower levels of the minors? Or are you going to end up getting to a point where you've sold your best prospects and now your players start aging out?
And that's where you got to find the balance. And that's why the eMLB draft is so awesome, which, and then that's also where some of these other deadline deals come in. I know one that you're I can't tell if you're a fan or not a fan of is Noah Syndergaard deal, the Thor deal.
You know what? At first I was screaming expletives into my empty apartment because I really thought that this was going to push Boston over the top. We were at the time, we'll get into this later. At the time, Boston was leading the American League East Division. They had a decent lead over the Rays. They had a pretty solid lead over the Orioles. And pitching was their one weakness because they were fielding one of the best offenses in baseball. I felt like getting Syndergaard would be one of those moves that pushes the team towards the top of the pack. But Syndergaard's not looked good for Boston so far. Syndergaard, his first start, 6 2/3, 2 runs. That's not bad. Second start, 5 2/3, 6 runs allowed. Team lost both games.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. And we'll segue into it. We'll come back to deals as different teams come up and talking about how it created their roster. Post All-Star break, your Orioles have been on fire, winning 16 straight. That's unheard of.
No, it's unprecedented, but it ain't unheard of because we ain't got the record yet.
Yet.
And now, what has been the biggest thing that you've noticed from your team? Because this is something you talked about with me before we recorded. You've texted me about it before. Bullpen shuffle.
Yes. If you look at our team stats throughout the year, we are number 1 in staff ERA. We are number 2 in runs in the American League. We're number 2 in runs allowed. We are number 1 in rotation ERA with a 3.33 for our rotation. We're 12th in bullpen ERA, 4.03. Last year, we had a team that had a really strong bullpen. Last year, we had a team that would lock down the end of games, but we couldn't score. This year, we rely on our starters to get to and hopefully through the 7th inning, because we know that once you get to the back half or to the back end of games, they're going to blow it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a lot of complete games. It's been a lot of 8-inning efforts from our starting rotation that have gotten us to this point. And the bullpen shuffle is what we did at the deadline. We made 3 deals over at the end of July. We made 2 on deadline day, 1 on the day before. All of them were in service of pitchers, if I'm not mistaken here. We got Quijada and Rainey from Miami. dealing away 2 of our failed bullpen arms. We got Jackson from you, which in a deal where we sent another bullpen arm. And let's see the last one here.
I think I tried to send you
Park's not helping me here. Oh, and we got Casey Mize from
Yes.
Seattle, and we traded away Amari Hardiman.
You almost we talked about like 5 or 6 different pitchers sending both ways between the two of us. I remember with like an hour left of the deadline, I think I texted you just, so you want to take on this contract, you want to take on this player, like I think I off.
You were in trade mode at that point in time. You were looking to make a deal wherever you could.
You know what? I love it. This because here's my thing, and especially for a lot of, there's been a lot of GM shuffle recently, and that happens. It happens. But I think for me, because I didn't get a full off season, I got basically the month of February. Yeah. For me, this was the first taste I had of really being able to make something happen. So I wanted to see what I could do.
I had the same thing last year. I took over at the beginning of spring training for the 2024 season. I inherited a roster that had endured 7 straight losing seasons, had a team that had a couple really good players, but couldn't put it together. And over the course of the first season, just trade as much as I could. To spit out as much of what was there prior and bring in as much as I could to make the team my own.
Yeah, I agree. I want to talk about another division. Well, we can stick with the AL East for a second. Baltimore is sort of, I guess, now the clubhouse favorite. And is there really any team that scares you in the AL East?
Tampa.
And why?
It's always been Tampa. Charles, the GM of the Rays, and I spent the entire offseason trading barbs back and forth and talking about how we each viewed each other as our biggest threat. And I don't count Tampa out. Tampa's playing good ball out of the All-Star break. Right now they're 14-11. That is definitely one of the better teams out of the break. They're playing well. They have an 105 run, plus 105 run differential. They just are slipping backwards a little bit due to our winning streak. I still think that they end up making it a lot closer, and they could still end up winning the division.
Here's the biggest thing I see with Tampa. Compared to you guys, they cannot hit left-handed pitching to save their life. When a left-handed starter starts a game, or just even a left-handed reliever, they have one of the worst hitting stats against left-handed pitching.
Yeah.
And that could be their Achilles heel, because you face a lot of AL teams with some very good lefties in the AL right now.
You know what? That's definitely true. But if you want to talk about teams in the AL East who cannot hit lefties, you go righty lefty splits against lefties. We have an 820 OPS. Tampa's a 720. Boston's a 654.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I really think that that's been one of the things that's hurt them, because Tampa Bay fields a lot of lefties. And we have our own superstar lefty in our own, and Jim the Nutball Reed, who's leading the American League and all of baseball in ERA and innings pitched.
Yeah.
And complete game shutouts.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move down one division to the complete opposite of you guys, the Chicago White Sox.
I don't know what happened.
What happened?
Well, you enter the break at 51-38, and you go 4-21 after that point. Minnesota's now moved ahead of them in the standings, and Minnesota's been playing 500 ball all year, which just shows you that if you play 500 ball and you wait for somebody else to make a mistake, you're still going to move past them. I think it's 2 things: regression to the mean, and a lineup that just refuses to be above average. Like they've got a couple really good producing bats in Juan Ortega and Joey Best. The bulk of their lineup is average or slightly below average to really below average, and has been most of the year.
Here's my big thing, and I'm honestly probably going to give something that a lot of people aren't going to agree with. But here, let me tell you why I'm wrong. I think this team way overperformed what they should have before the All-Star break. And now we're seeing really what this team should be. They have no real superstar. Their bullpen is shaky at best. Their starting rotation. You've got Jalen Beeks as your 5th starter. Like, what are you doing? And I don't think, I think they overperformed in the first half, but I think deep down we all know that Mark was going to run away with that division in Detroit.
It was just a matter of time. And while I think that Detroit is in a position to run away with it, an injury to Hank Peralta is worrisome. I don't know if they're in a position to run away with it completely if Minnesota can keep playing well. Kansas City's come out of the break playing well. A 5-game skid from Detroit with one of those 2 teams playing well, and it's a race again.
I agree. I mean,
man, you got to disagree with me now. Come on.
I mean, here's my thing. I think Minnesota can make a run if you can start to see vintage guys like vintage Jose Barrios. If he can get back to sort of what he has been, I know he's sort of been this same player that we've seen every year. Like he's very consistent, but if he can get back
consistently below average,
right? If he can get back to like that 2021, that 330 average, his last really good season with that 107 whip, even if it's just for half a season, they could really make a run. And I honestly think their bullpen is underrated for what it should be. I honestly think that if Minnesota starts playing well and maybe, plays the waiver wire a little bit, finds some of these hidden gems that have been released into free agency, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that Mark are looking at potentially, they could put together a really serviceable team.
I can. And it's going to be down to the newest general manager, or tied for newest general manager, GT, to do it.
And GT, just even with talking to him, he seems like he's got a great grasp of his team already. He knows the value of his players, and he knows what he needs to do to potentially win. I don't think he's going for a win this year necessarily, but you could potentially see him do something. And, wild cards are weird. He's sitting at 8.5 out of the wild card, which is not insurmountable, but with some of the teams around him, it kind of is. Let's go ahead and drop down to the AL West real quick. Angels and Texas Rangers.
I want to hold on Minnesota for one more thing. Since GT took over, LaRon Smith is now playing catcher. I don't think that's a good move at all. I don't know. I'm curious to see if you disagree with that.
I'm shocked. You see me speechless.
Yeah, I do. He's played 11 games at catcher after spending 97 at first base.
Why?
It's a good question. I mean, maybe we need to get GT on here and haul him in front of the panel and ask him to explain himself.
Like, I get, you got William Astudillo and Tucker Barnhart, I guess. But here's my thing. William Astudillo, mind you, only in 42 games and 163 plate appearances, he has 1 strikeout and 102 OPS plus.
Yeah, and
single strikeout.
I can't argue with the thought there. It's 40 plate appearances. You can't base anything off 40 plate appearances. I get why he made the move, because Barnhart can't hit. And
Astudillo has had 163 plate appearances and has 1 strikeout.
Oh, I had a split. That's on me. Yeah, 163 plate appearances across 42 games. He's a league average hitter. Barnhart can't hit.
But Astudillo doesn't strike out.
That's true. He also doesn't walk.
There's the value of putting the ball in play, though.
That's true. He does he puts the ball in play. He doesn't get very good results when he does, though. He's got a 218 BABIP.
But here's my thing, and here's where I'm going to tell you you're wrong. Where's the sacrifice fly? The putting the ball in play and you move the runner's over, that's not shown in the stats. You know what I mean? That it's not shown. Let's say you got a runner on first and second. You hit a ground ball to the first baseman. He can't turn the double play. Now you got runners on second and third. There are things that are not shown in the stats, and that's why you're wrong. And I also think LeBron Smith's defense behind the plate is not as good as it is at first base. And you look at a guy like Astudillo, who I think he's got a decent enough ability behind the dish.
OSA would disagree with that last point pretty strong though. OSA considers Astudillo to be about the same level, if not slightly worse behind the dish than LeBron Smith.
But you're telling me you rather have Junior Severino every day in your lineup and every day playing first base or anything like that. I personally don't understand why you're taking LeBron Smith off first base.
I disagree with him going off for first base. I agree with you there. I disagree that he is not the best. I think he is the best option to be playing catcher on the roster. I just don't think that should have moved him from first.
Here's my thing. I'm looking at their minor leagues right now, right?
Yeah.
Why not bring up a guy like Jeff Goldblack?
Yeah, good ability, good, good leadership qualities in the clubhouse. On your thing, he's got a really low strikeout rate for AAA.
He's got a low strikeout rate. He's got an OPS plus of $128, a 2.6 WAR. He hits for some power, can also hits a lot of doubles.
Yeah, you think you get better? You think you get better value out of having him at catcher, having Smith play first?
I think so, and you also get a guy who's younger who can grow with this team because LeBron Smith and probably Goldblack are going to be part of your young core for years to come.
You got to think contract plays a role in that, though, because you're going to have to DFA one of Barnhart or Astudillo, and it's unlikely. I think Astudillo might get claimed. Barnhart wouldn't. At that point in time, you're carrying three catchers, or you're carrying two catchers with one guy you can't really use.
Before we go into the last division in the AL and talk a little bit about the NL, let's talk about some of these weird guys that have been released and put on waivers. George Springer.
I'm not sure if that's a case where he had put him on, he DFA'd him to put him through waivers and forgot to take him off, and so Kumish just released him on the stream, or if it was intentional on Jay Hill's part. Springer was not been bad this year. If I'm going to pull him up real fast, George Springer this year has been a league average hitter. He's had his best season since 2022, which even then it's not great. It's not his Houston levels of production, but he can be a valuable contributor to a team that's trying to compete for playoffs. He's a decent fielder. He's a decent bat. He can come off the bench. He's got a spark plug personality trait, and I think that's why a certain team in the AL Central is looking at adding him.
Yeah, and I also think you look at a few other guys on the waiver wire, just going through some of them off here who might get claimed. You got a guy like Brady Singer, 29 years old. He just got DFA'd by Kansas City as well.
Which is shocking after I mean, he's struggled a little bit this year, but last year he was one of their best starters.
Also, I know you hate this rule, but who knows when re-rate will be available again, but Brady Singer, a re-rate candidate.
All I'm saying is that if he keeps pitching like he is for the real-life Royals, a re-rate might make him worse.
This is true. We look at a guy, one of my former players, Kyle Wright, who's in Miami, who he's pitched, I want to say, 2 games for Miami, if I'm not mistaken.
He's pitched 3 games. Here's how those 3 games went. He comes in, pitches 4 innings, gives up 4 runs. He comes in, pitches 2 innings, gives up 2 runs. Comes in, pitches 2 2/3, gives up 3 runs, and he's DFA'd. I when we were planning this out and we were wanting to talk about some trade deals that we had seen, I really wanted to talk about the JT Ginn trade, and I wanted to criticize you. I wanted to say that you gave up a lot of players for a bullpen arm.
Mm-hmm.
The deal looks a lot better now,
and it may look a lot better in a few days.
Gotta leave that one a little unfinished.
That's all I want to say about that one there.
Yeah, Kyle Wright, DFA, and available to be claimed on waivers by anybody.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, but I still don't like that. I still don't like that trade completely. Sergio Arnada is a really good prospect. He's only 20 years old. He's not a very strong hitter, but what he is an amazing fielding shortstop prospect.
And you know what? I've got depth out my bum hole at that position. I've got 4 other guys who will start before he does.
At the shortstop position?
Specifically.
Okay, so who are you thinking? Who are you thinking? Will Holland, who doesn't really have.
Hold on. Let me pull it up here. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, OOTP not working exactly quickly.
You're good. It's gonna protest you.
Yeah. Here's my thing. Luis Castillo. Young, he's 22, but he's starting to find his way a little bit. Alex Freeland, Bobby Orr, and I'd also start Ashlis Dudley, who can play all over the infield, and he's developing 2 outfield and probably a 3rd outfield position.
And what I want to say about every single one of those guys who is not, and that are not, it's not the case for Arnada, none of them have range. Bobby Orr's got a good arm, but Freeland looks more like a second baseman type prospect. Ashlis Dudley, frankly, looks like a mediocre fielder at third base, and that's not an insult to him. He's got an amazing hitting talent, but he does not look like he's going to be as strong.
You know what? You just be quiet about Dudley over there. Him and I got some stuff in the works as a CCP. Don't CCPs are magic. And
CCPs may be magic, but he ain't magic yet.
And here's my thing, and this is why I love this league sometimes. Him and I both got drafted the same year. It's actually funny. He's the 1st round pick. I was the 2nd round pick, but we'll leave it at that because I love him. But we created this whole storyline about, because Charles kept him and I together all the time throughout the Rays organization. So we created this storyline about how we became best friends and roommates, and how we had, and part of my deal with Charles is I had to get him over when he came to Atlanta to keep that storyline going. And he's been in AAA with Aiden ever since. Aiden is having a great year at AAA. He sniffed the majors for a little bit this year. 276 with 18 bombs and 52 ribbies, slugging .573. And
yeah, he's hitting great at AAA. That sniff right there. He's got a lot of work to do to be ready for the majors, though. You better get your son in the batting cages.
Don't worry. I think I have, and this is not saying anything about, I think if I counted correctly according to Commish, let me just double check an exact number for you real quick. But I'm pretty sure it is 30 plus available to me right now.
All right. That's fair.
That it's honestly been, I'm just trying to let OOTP play him out however he wants to play out. Here.
That's fair. That is a completely fair argument there.
I have 36 available as an exact number.
Okay.
So I could make him Danny Smith Jr. right now if I wanted to.
You know what? You could, although I don't think there is going to be another Danny Smith Jr. in terms of guys who just come into the major leagues and make that much of an impact.
Speaking of Danny Smith Jr., you want to talk about the NL Central real quick?
We'll skip your division and jump to that Central because the Cubs are ridiculous right now.
But wait, are we switching up what we planned pregame?
Oh no, I'm saying that they're ridiculous right now. I didn't say they're going to win the division.
How can you not think they're going to win the division? Here, let me tell you right now. This one I will go to the grave and tell you why you're wrong. Let's look at this here. All right. First of all, they are having a great all-around season from their starting rotation. Shout out to former Tampa Bay Ray Brent Honeywell, a 5.33 ERA as their worst starting pitcher. But honestly, some of these other guys that they have in here, sadly, Alberto Sojo just got injured, elbow strain. He was having a really good year. But you look at some of these other guys, Justice Sheffield, Daniel Robin.
You know what? And, I like that you're bringing up. I'm like that you're bringing up these guys because I do want to point out something. most years those ERAs might be kind of like a 3.95 ERA would be respectable, and it is still respectable. But we've seen offense slightly a little bit down this year from last year. And if you look at those numbers adjusted to league average with ERA plus, 3 of the rotation arms are below average. The other 2 are at average.
Fair. Can I ask you?
You go look at the team stats. Well, they've managed to do a really good job with run prevention, being 5th in runs allowed and 4th in runs scored. A lot of that is because of their recent success.
But here, you want to know something that no other team has? Danny Smith Jr. This man is going to be, and already probably is, one of the best players to ever step foot in the eMLB. Hold on, and I'm just going to read off the craziest stat line for me. The fact of the matter is, he's only played in 15 games, so we'll take it with a grain of salt. 8 homers, 13 RBIs, and an OPS of 1.526.
What's more remarkable about the 15 games is that it comes with a 500 batting average. And I'm not one to put a lot of stock in batting average as a player evaluator, but 71 plate appearances at 500 is ridiculous. Insane. He's living up to his nickname, Wrecking Ball. But is he going to be enough of a wrecking ball to beat Andrew's Cardinals? They've got a 1.5 game lead on him right now, but I don't know if you can hold a 1.5 game lead over Andrew's pitching staff.
But
they don't score runs. The Cardinals don't score runs. The Cardinals have struggled to score runs all year.
Even since they added Ronald Acuna from Atlanta, they still are struggling.
Well, yes, that's league standings. If we want to go, we can sort by month stats. So take the team offense. We'll send it to time frame August. 767 OPS. That's about league average. That's an improvement over their bottom half of the league.
Your league average, great. I will take Chicago's bats to destroy St. Louis's pitching staff any day of the week.
You know what? I think a league average offense with that pitching staff shuts down anybody. I think in a 3-game series you run against Flaherty, Hudson, Frank. That's not you can't overcome that. I'm sorry, not Hudson. Sorry, not Hudson. I had my months split up here. Nope, I meant Hudson. My bad. You also got Burns. Pitching in there. Mac Jones has made 3 starts. He looks good, and that bullpen is fantastic. Leclerc, Sapuki, cannot say his last name. Loizaga, Nebel. I don't see any way that you overcome that in a game. I think
you're flat out you're flat out wrong. You are just completely wrong, because that lineup in Chicago is probably one of the best lineups we've ever seen created in the eMLB. They have multiple players who can get you on any pitch. And Danny Smith Jr., who do you pitch to in that lineup? There's really no one you want to pitch to in that lineup.
You know what I do? I love the lineup of Urbeck, White, Smith Jr., and Jackie Roberts. I love that lineup a lot. I agree. Chicago's got a great lineup. Can they stay great all the way through the end of the year?
I think they can. Plus, you got this guy. Oh, we forget about him. This guy named Giancarlo Stanton, who can come off the bench and still give you a tank.
Oh, come on.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's a league average hitter. I mean,
he's got 17 bombs and limited plate appearances this year. But what I'm saying is he's got the postseason experience. He comes off the bench. He can hit his tank still.
You know what? I don't doubt it. He can come off the bench. He might give you a good pinch hit appearance every now and then.
Which is what you need in the playoffs with that good of a lineup.
His best days are long behind him.
But I'm not asking. But you're not asking him to play every day.
As part of your good talk about him.
But you're not asking him to play every day, is what I'm saying.
No, you're not. But if you're going to talk about the team's strengths, I wouldn't include Stanton on there.
I would say in a pinch hit opportunity.
I mean, yeah.
That's what I was talking about. I think overall, if you're looking at these two teams right here, right now, if we're talking about the playoffs, I'm taking Chicago just because I think Andrew, while I love what he's doing, you need to score runs to win a game. Your pitching staff can only hold on so long. And Chicago's going to put more runs on the board than you are in St. Louis.
You know what? I think that they keep teams to 2-3 runs.
And you know what?
I think they keep rolling.
As much as I love the AL East, this is going to be the matchup to watch going down the stretch here.
100% agreed. If we can, you know what? I'm going to say 100% agreed, but let's go back to the division we skipped.
The AL West or the NL East?
The NL East. That's going to be the division. That's going to be the race we want to watch. That is a 3-horse race to the finish. That you talk about Chicago and St. Louis. You talk about two teams that everyone can agree are both very talented and top of the National League type teams. Go to the NL East, and instead you're looking at 3 teams who are all in a dogfight with each other, and all 3 teams have serious problems.
And the one team that seems to be getting hot
is Miami. Hey, they've won 3 in a row. They're 6-4 in their last 10.
Fair enough. I know I'm only 5-5, and look, I know I completely play it, and I don't think I'm out until I'm officially out. The Rays have come back from less in real life in a shorter amount of have come back from more, I should say, in less amount of time.
Let's game plan this a little bit. I want to work through this a little bit with you right now.
Okay.
Atlanta right now, 15, 14, they're 12th in record. Mm-hmm. You've got the Giants ahead of you, who have just added Jandy Ronson and called up Ethan Candela. You've got the Rockies ahead of you, who can mash. Get the Pirates, who've been playing 500 ball all year, and frankly have been really unlucky and could make a big run at the end if they can get lucky. The Diamondbacks, who are starting to improve after a poor start to the year. And then you have your trio of NL East teams. You have the Brewers, who sold off a lot of pieces but still have a ton of talent. And then you have the Cardinals. That is the standings ahead of you. Do you beat 8 of those teams?
I think there's a potential for it, especially with Max Fried back in 2 weeks from injury.
I mean, that's definitely possible. That's definitely possible. You could definitely.
I also something I just looked at too. I play 25 games still against Washington, Philadelphia, and the Mets.
You know what? But to quote what you said earlier, you got to score runs to win baseball games.
And I don't do that. I'm gonna.
No, we're 14th in runs scored in the National League right now. 9th in runs allowed. Hey, but the number 1 bullpen ERA.
And potentially adding to that.
Yeah, JT Jinn's gonna help push that team over the top right now.
JT Jinn is a beast, and let me tell you. No, but honestly, I know I joke about it, but I think let's talk about the weaknesses of some of these other guys, and then we'll come back to why I think I may stand a sliver of a chance.
All right, I'll give you the sliver of a chance. All right. Each team in the NL East, Mets can't hit. Washington's bullpen for the second year in a row is an Achilles heel of this team. Washington was a bullpen away from winning a World Series last year.
Washington's bullpen is holier than a church on Sundays. I mean, that thing has got so many holes in it. I thought I was eating Swiss cheese when looking at their bullpen.
And what's funny about their bullpen being, having issues is they have one of the better bullpen arms talent-wise in the league, Andrew Dahlquist, but the talent around it is just doesn't perform.
One pitcher can't do the whole lot, and I've noticed that this year with my team.
Yeah, that is definitely true here. And then Philadelphia has been a really awesome story for this year. Everyone kind of expected them to be at the bottom of the division. Everyone kind of expected them to really struggle to do much of anything, especially to score runs after losing Manny Machado to an unfortunate groin accident.
Shout out, Mrs. Machado. Nice to see you.
But they're fifth in runs scored, and they are 8th in runs allowed. They are an aggressively mediocre team that
I think everyone was expecting Atlanta and Philly to be flipped than what they are right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
And it hurts.
I think
it's killer because I think that Max Fried injury really killed me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Fried injury, Albies not performing well. Acuna, while he was on the team before he was traded, had dropped well below his career average. It's just a lot of bad luck. But you got to wonder about how much is that bad luck or is how much is that a downtrend?
And I think we'll have to wait and see, to be completely honest with you. I think there's some stuff to see what exactly is going to happen here. But I think, Atlanta, I'm not calling myself out of it yet, but I'm also realistic as much as I don't want to be. I'm retooling for next year. And next year, when I have a full healthy team and maybe some of these prospects can come up and hopefully do better. I'm looking at you, Sam Salceda. I think Atlanta is still going to be a team people talk about as being scary.
Yeah, I think you can get to 13th in runs scored.
Oh, how nice. I was thinking 12th, maybe, push a little bit higher. And you know what? I've got 2 big contracts coming off the books. I got a little money to spend.
I think you got a lot of money. I think you got a lot of money in Atlanta.
I've got money. But
it's not how much you got, it's what you do with it.
Here's my thing. I don't really know that I need to do anything with it. I don't know exactly what there is to need. You know what I mean? I've got a lot of key pieces coming back. My guess is if I was a betting man, Pearson is going to take over the starting job. And I think I can get a lot of things that I need out of the trade market with some of these plethora of 6 outfielders that I have.
You know what? I find it difficult. I find it difficult to argue with you on that. We're gonna have to just we're gonna have to see how that develops.
That is fair. Let's move on to the last division, the NL West, which has sort of been I think is sort of almost, I hate to say it this way, but the forgotten division of eMLB just because the Padres are running away with it.
And I'll tell you why it's the forgotten division. It's because Steve's a humble man. Steve doesn't brag.
Shout out to you, Steve.
I love him. He's got my creative player. I think that this team right here, this Padres team, is just great. And we want to talk about best lineups up and down, talent-wise. You want to put forward Chicago? I'm going to go ahead and put forward San Diego. You got the 2 Kims, although Yuna suffered an unfortunate broken collarbone in this last sim and will likely miss the rest of the regular season, but should be healthy enough to return for the playoffs. They have almost certain MVP Fernando Tatis Jr. Max Horvath has been really struggling this year at the plate in his limited playing time, but he's just an amazing talent. And Franmil Reyes just continues to hit dingers. That is a strong top of the lineup.
I can't disagree with you as much as I want to. However, they're the number 2 lineup in the eMLB.
Yeah, you're right. Let's actually throw it back to the American League, because if we're going to talk number 1 lineup, if we're going to talk, top level hitting teams, we're going to talk about a squad that doesn't maybe have all the talent there, but produces. LA Angels.
What, you mean Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani don't do it for you?
Well, that's a great top of the 2, but if you look at OSA overalls, they're a team that's in the green more than they're in the blue.
This comes from a guy who tells me not to. Hold on, and I'm gonna burst your bubble. First thing you taught me on on OOTP is don't look at overalls.
Exactly. That's what ties in here. You want to look at talent. You want to look and say San Diego, Chicago are the best lineups in the league because they're talent. I want to point out LA based on results right now. They are 2nd in runs scored. They've scored 609 runs. That is their batting average is only 8th, 253, but they got a 333 on base. They got a 449 slugging. They're 781 OPS. They're a really good hitting team, and they are smart on the base pass with third base running. They also walk more than anybody, and they hit more home runs than anybody. This lineup maybe isn't talent-wise best in the league, but they are definitely one of the best performing lineups.
Mm-hmm. I can't disagree with you.
You think LA wins the West? You think that their recent passing of Jamie's they're tied now with Jamie's Rangers? You think they're able to surge past them?
I sit here and think to myself, what is going to happen in the West? Because the West is, I'll be honest, both of the West divisions I don't really pay all that much attention to. But I'm going to say the Angels are going to win it just because DeMarcus Evans is still out.
Yeah, you know what? And on the topic of DeMarcus Evans being out, what do you think about the Wall trade?
I don't even know what to think about it. Like, I'm so just I don't know.
You know what? I don't personally, I don't get it. I don't understand taking a guy who had a 1.03 ERA through 35 innings, who was striking out 45.5% of batters he faced while only walking 5.3, who had a 430 allowed OPS. I don't see trading him. I just don't get it. And what they got back is not bad for their future. Pat Waller is a really interesting prospect. An interesting prospect for one of the best bullpen talents in baseball. I mean, sure, the Rangers have got a lot of bullpen talent, but I think overwhelming bullpen talent is what got them to lead the division. And I think allowing that overwhelming bullpen talent to go away is what's cost them the lead in the division.
I think so. And I think that Texas maybe even misses the playoffs.
Ooh, okay. So let's work this out a little bit. Playoff contenders in the American League right now. There are 7. There are 7 real playoff contenders, 2 bubble teams, right?
Yeah.
You got Baltimore, Boston, Tampa, Detroit, LA, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Then you say Minnesota and Houston are bubble teams.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay. You think Texas finishes outside of some combination of Boston and Tampa for the wild card?
I just don't see how you don't take Boston and Tampa right now.
I'll tell you exactly how. You kick Boston out. You know, Boston started the year 11-2. Look, you go month by month. April 14-8, May 14-14, June 19-8, July 13-11, August 5-7. They are streaky. They score a lot of runs, but they also give a lot of runs up.
Then let me disagree with you. I think Boston, they, like you just said, for the exact reason you said, they're streaky. Let them get hot.
Yeah, you know, that's true. That's true. I also think that they can't keep up with Tampa. Tampa overwhelms you with pitching.
Tampa or Baltimore is going to be the number 1 wild card. Whichever one doesn't win the division is the number 1 wild card. The question is that second wild card. So I see it being Boston.
That's fair. And right now it's Boston or Texas that are there in the standings for the number 2, but or Tampa would be number 2 right now. Yeah. I think Houston can make some noise.
Let's talk about the other side then. Let's talk about on the NL side. How do you see this whole, I mean, let's see here. You got the Cubs.
Short version.
Let's talk about these teams that are probably available. You got Cubs, Padres, Mets, Cardinals, Nationals, Brewers, Phillies, Diamondbacks, and would you call Pittsburgh and Colorado on the bubble?
I'd say Colorado might be off the bubble just because the depth of teams.
Fair.
Like in the American League, 7.5 back is good enough for a 4th team out. In the National League, 7.5 is good for 7th team out.
Yeah.
Or for a 5th team out. Right now, I'd say that if I were to pick division winners, 2 wild cards, Mets, Cardinals, Padres, Cubs, Phillies. I think that bullpen's the death of the Nationals. I think that bullpen and Juan Soto not being an MVP.
You're flat out wrong, but that's okay. I mean, you're flat out wrong. I think Cubs, Padres, Mets. I think you got
man. If we're trying to imitate, some vintage first take here, you and the Cubs, just like Skip and Cowboys.
And you know what? I'm okay with that. I will take that. Death beam pointing at the world. If I got one shot, I want to eat. No, I don't want Iguodala. Why the hell was that ever a take ever given on live TV?
What? I think at a certain point in time you run out of good takes, so you just start throwing out bad ones.
Don't worry. I don't. Now I can't say no because I give a lot of bad takes. We'll get to there at some point. but here, so I think Cubs, Padres, Mets. I think Cardinals are one wild card team. Brewers are the second.
You know what? That's definitely possible.
I think the NL East falls apart just because how much we have to play each other.
Yeah. And that's definitely a worry. I don't think that we're going to see 3 playoff teams out of that division. I don't think that there are. Frankly, I don't think that there are 2 playoff teams in that division. I think that there will be 2 playoff teams in that division just based off of their records. But I don't think that I don't think that division is going to produce the World Series winner.
That's fair enough. So why don't you give me, before we go here, we've got a little bit of time left. Why don't you give me your top 3 in power rankings, and I'll tell you why you're right or wrong.
Okay. We'll go number 3. We're gonna go LA. LA okay. Angels. Definitely not Dodgers. Number 2, we're gonna go Chicago. Chicago is really hot right now. And I don't see any argument against putting Baltimore as the number 1 team in everybody's power rankings. You don't win 16 games in a row and get to number 1.
So let me tell you why you're wrong. We'll use the running title. First off, I'm not going to argue with Baltimore at the top. Right now, they're the hottest team in baseball, and I can't take them away from that. Number 2, you hit the nail on the head. Chicago's hot. They're running. Danny is going to be Danny Smith Jr. is just a difference maker.
Are we talking vintage Griffey? Or vintage Bonds, the playing center?
If Bonds and Griffey had a love child.
And he grew up in Portland?
Because he's defense and speed of Ken Griffey and the bat of Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
That's how I'd see him.
I don't see any way to argue that.
My number 3 team, I can see where you're coming with the Angels. I get it. But right now, for me and what I'm looking at stats-wise and everything like that, even though they've had a little bit of a rough past 10 games, I'm going to go Detroit Tigers in that 3rd slot.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. It's a tie between them and the Angels for me.
They're really 3A, 3B. They're 3A, 3B right now.
I 100%. If you look at teams post All-Star break records, there are 4 teams in the league that have yet to hit double-digit losses after the All-Star break. It's the Orioles, who are 21-4, the Cubs, who are 15-9, but obviously fielding Danny Smith Jr. Then you have the Tigers at 16-9 and the Angels at 15-9.
So I want to ask you one last question before we sign off here on this first episode.
Okay.
Of the GMs who have started since the end of the 2024 season, so anyone who's taken over since the end of the 2024 season, myself included, and I will please be as unbiased with this as you can. Who do you think? I'll ask this in two parts. One, who do you think took on the toughest challenge to turn around? And two, who do you think is going to be the first one in the new GMs to win a World Series?
Okay. You said since the end of the 2024 season?
Yeah, so anyone who's taken over since the World Series winner was crowned in 2024.
Okay, so we got you, we got Minerva.
Sadier.
No, Sadier actually took over in the middle of the 2024 season.
It's me, Minerva, Danny, GT.
That's why I wanted to ask after the end of 2024 season, because I would have answered Sadier to toughest challenge.
I think it's just us four. Is it just that four?
I think so.
Hold on, let me do my research. Hold on.
Pete moved to the Yankees.
We'll count him just because he moved.
Okay.
Here I can tell you real quick. No, they were all here.
Witt to the Phillies.
Yes, Witt to the Phillies.
So those are the six changes we've had.
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and say person who inherited the worst overall situation. Pete Yankees. The Yankees are miserable right now. The Yankees are in a really sorry state.
I'll take a different one. I'll go Danny Smith just because Oakland is so bad.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree with that. However, I think Oakland has got several interesting pieces all the way through the farm system. So do the Yankees, but not nearly as interesting as a lot of other teams. And while the major league system is absolutely awful, they are certainly in line to select whatever top prospect comes out of next year's draft. I know Danny said he's not going to make a super prospect this upcoming year. Somebody else will.
Yeah.
But who's going to be the first one to win a World Series out of you guys? Now that's interesting. Man, I don't think the Yankees are going to win one anytime soon.
No.
I don't think the A's win one anytime soon.
No.
Frankly, and I know you're wanting to hear this. I don't think the Braves win one anytime soon.
Oh.
I think Philly has a decent chance if they can add a couple pieces to the major league roster, because they've got a lot of guys who outperform the ratings, who have consistently outperformed the ratings, which is a good sign of, good for team building.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Minerva.
Mm.
I want you to hear this rotation and let me know and tell me what you think.
Okay.
McClendon, Rosario, I think it's Maduro, and Captain Barboza.
That's a damn good rotation.
That is an amazing rotation. I think Minerva has got a lot of figuring out to do. He's very new to the game. He made a couple missteps early, in his first year running the team with free agency, but he's got a young, cost-controlled lineup.
Right.
He's got Tony Bernazard, who ratings-wise is amazing. His play isn't really quite caught up to that ratings yet, but it's his rookie year. You think it's going to happen eventually. He's got Andrew Vaughn and Lucas Parker, a first baseman DH duo that just can absolutely mash. He's got George Valera, who came out of nowhere to be great. He's got Manuel Marco. He got to a very affordable deal, who's been playing really well for him. Halpin at left field. Nicky Lopez was going to be a free agent, but he should be able to be retained. Jacques Landry is a solid hitter.
Oh.
you gotta commission his in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that team right there is dangerous. And I think that I thought this year they'd be dangerous. Things haven't quite broken right. Barboza's injury really hurt them. I think next year the Royals are poised to just get better.
I'm gonna say me because I have to.
Of course.
I have to. But you're talking about that rotation. Let's talk about mine for a second. Ready?
Yeah.
Mike Soroka, Max Fried, Ian Anderson, Connor Thomas, JJ Goss, Sam Saseda.
Again, that's one of those deals that on paper I love, but you left out Fried in there.
I said Fried.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear it. My bad.
And then you want to talk lineup. You'll have Aiden Pearson coming in and joining, who is the best defensive catcher in the eMLB right now. if he was to be playing right now. And his bat is going to catch up. You talk about a guy like Ozzy Albies, who's having a down season, who can bounce back. You've got the guy who is going to win NL Rookie of the Year, and if he doesn't, there is something wrong with this league. And Antonio Alvarez, you can't argue that right now. I'd hang up if you tried to argue with me on that.
It's okay. I'll vote Danny. I'll throw my vote at Danny just to spite you.
Of course you will. Of course you will. You talk about a guy in Christian Pache who's having a down year, who could definitely pick it back up. You've got Jake Bowers, who just recently joined. You've got Jose Ramirez. We'll see what happens with Freddie Freeman, whether he accepts his opt-out or not. You've also got guys in Ron Carty. You even go back and just look at the minor leagues as well. You have Gene Hughes in the minor leagues who could come up and make a difference as a starter. Juan Romero. You've got Johnny Burnett, Jim Chinchilla, Ramon Linares, Gomer Townsend, Enrique Bradfield, Kellum Clark, Ashlis Dudley, Bobby Orr, Alex Freeman. I can keep going for days and days and days. Atlanta. I could see an Atlanta-Kansas City World Series matchup. Imagine how much fun Minerva and I would have with that, going back and forth with each other.
You know what? I think that'd be really awesome because a lot of, if we want to go take a look at the World Series matchups that have happened so far. Last year, Angels Nationals, that was a 7-gamer. Believe
it was Rays Diamondbacks the year before.
Was a 7-game World Series. Nationals Astros the year before that was also a 7-game World Series. We've had 3 state 7-game World Series. We had a string of really interesting ones with good matchups. I think a Royals Braves matchup next year would be an instant classic.
I also think something about it too is, like you mentioned, a lot of these, and all these people are active, don't get me wrong, but Minerva and I already have a really good relationship. And I think something that you would probably see for one of the first times is a whole lot of smack talking in Discord in general.
And you know what? I think a World Series matchup needs a little bit more smack talk. Last year's was pretty respectful for the most part, and
I think if I remember correctly, Aaron and Charles went at it a little bit.
They did. That's when I first started following the eMLB universe, and that we need to bring that back.
Because that's Aaron stole the opener from Charles. And
yes.
Yeah, because funny story, Aaron and I are both in real life Rays fans. So it's one of those things where it was just funny in that regard. And if you guys are wondering what we're talking about with this whole Discord, by looking at YouTube or joining the Twitch streams, you're only getting what Kamish says, like 20 to 25% of what's happening in this universe.
Honestly, it might not even be that much.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 15.
We're really active on the Discord server.
We're really active on the Discord, both talking eMLB and real life baseball, among other things. Make sure to check out that link in the description below. It's really interesting. Like Kamish has been going to his hockey games and giving us his beer updates each time he goes. I look forward to those every time. Yeah, we get a lot of cool stuff. If you were in there, you got to see me make a really bad pun about my internship and how it was getting a little buggy. That's still one of the funniest pictures in that Discord.
I'm not really sure what was. I saw that and I assumed internship. I assumed you were working in an office. I did not assume wearing the mascot costume.
I'm working for a minor league baseball team that we do everything and anything. I almost thought when I looked at it, because I looked at the picture again, it almost looked like the Zdeno Chara bunny.
Maybe we take the Zdeno Chara bunny and we supplement it with the Aiden bug.
The Aiden cockroach?
The Aiden cockroach.
There you go.
I didn't want to be the one to call you a cockroach, but
that's what it was. Literally, the promotion we did is called the cockroach race, where they send 4 little kids out on the field to chase me.
Is that how you tore your hamstring?
That was playing basketball. That's a whole nother story. Mind you, I was running when I was 3 days off crutches. I'm a little sore today. I'm a little sore today.
Hey, before we get out of here, we were talking. We game planned a future World Series matchup.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this year. Your 2 picks.
I want to look at. I feel like it's so hard because the teams at the top are so good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. Cubs, Orioles, Cubs in 6.
Ooh, okay. Doubting the Bashbirds a little bit.
You don't have Danny Smith Jr.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know what? We don't got Danny Smith Jr. You know what we do got?
Buster Bluth and Nick Spence.
I'm not even gonna brag on Buster Bluth anymore. We've got the guy who, if it weren't for the fact that Pedro Serrano exists, should be the AL MVP candidate, and Alex Verdugo. We've got Michael Bush, who rakes. We got Nick Spence. We got Nate Lowe, who's having a career resurgence. We got Jeff Newkirk, the 6th overall draft pick in the 2024 draft. He's less than a calendar year removed from being drafted. He was an everyday catcher.
May I ask you this question just out of curiosity? Do you kick yourself for not selecting my created player in the first round over Newkirk?
Not one bit.
That's fair.
I avoid creative players.
That's fair. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, I believe that I believe in finding guys who are. I like college players in the first round of the draft. I drafted Besco this year. I drafted Newkirk last year. I like finding guys who are going to be veterans. I like who have got a lot of experience.
So then let me ask you this question. If you do not make the World Series, because we know you'll say you.
Yes.
If you do not make the World Series, what's the World Series matchup?
San Diego, LA. Tom gets his 2nd in a row.
Wow.
Wins in 5.
Whoa. Wow.
However, that's not my real pick. That's my backup pick.
What's your real pick?
Battle of the Birds. We go Baltimore Orioles versus Cardinals. Orioles in 7.
I'm just gonna. No, I'm kidding. You've been riding the Cardinals train. I've been riding the Cubs train.
Of course.
You know, I had to for the me. You know, I'm sure when this comes out that Jake will be very happy to hear what I'm saying. I'm sure editor extraordinaire and the guy who helps a lot on the YouTube channel, Andrew, will be very happy to hear from you.
Andrew keeps the YouTube channel up and running.
Yeah, you know, sometimes he has to suck up to the bosses. So, you know, Brendan's just doing it for me this time so I can go off on my little tangents. But, you know, someone's got to do it. Honestly, no, that's not a terrible pick. I sit here and say it every time, and I keep thinking it. And I just went back and looked at their roster again. I don't know that the Cardinals have enough.
I just think that the addition of Acuna is really going to help them.
You know, Acuna is a good player.
He's a great player.
But I got good value for him.
A really great player. Somebody who could have used some great players might miss him.
You know, but what's the fun in keeping everyone on your team?
You know what? I can't argue with that.
This is the thing that I've talked about with people before. It's a fictional, and I mentioned this on the three-way trade episode. This is a fictional thing that none of us lose. You know, we're not betting real money on this. We're not paying actual money for this outside of buying the game.
You're not paying real money, but you're paying real time.
True.
You're paying real pride.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But at the end of the day, this doesn't make or break my career or whether or not my team does well. So why not try and shake things up and have some fun with it and ruffle some other feathers? I
can't argue with that.
Why do you think I love doing all the trades? I love trying to ruffle feathers.
You know, I think really you and I are probably the most active traders in the league.
Oh yeah, because both of us and it's funny because you and I talk and I feel like my nickname that I'm starting to develop in here is used car salesman just among the Discord at this point. I like to make deals and I try to push things on people and I'm more successful than not.
Well, yeah, I do. Well, I won't disagree. You got good salesman tactics. For a living, I babysit car salesmen.
Yes.
that's what I do for my job. And so it's real funny. It's when they come up to me and they got you on the deadline. You're the deadline 10 minutes before the deadline. You came up to me and you're like, hey, can I get you this? I'm real close to having the most trades. Can I get you this?
I try. My favorite thing to do was player X would look very good in those Oriole black uniforms, or very good in Oriole orange.
Yeah.
I still think those Oriole black uniforms are so pretty.
I think so too. Man, the Orioles are just too good looking of a team to suck in real life.
They really are.
We keep one last thing in everything.
You know what? People are going to love this, I feel like. I feel like people are going to love this, though.
I think so, too. I think this is a good format. I think that I love the Insider podcast. Every time it comes out, I listen to it.
I listen to it religiously.
It's awesome. But I think a more disagreement style show is going to be beneficial.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
No one's commenting on this outside of a couple laughing emojis. I think Kamish sees it in stream and just kind of rolls his eyes and head. Bashbirds. Baltimore Orioles, Bashbirds. I love it.
I mean, I think you have to either have the home run king, or you have to lead the league in home runs to be able to officially call yourself that. Lead the league in home runs over the entire season.
We're first in OPS.
Did I say OPS?
No, you said home runs. That's fair. What really matters? First in slugging. First in doubles, baby.
We'll call you the double bird. Is that what you? Because I mean, one of the best quotes from a movie of all time. Why do we want him?
Gets on base.
He gets on base. Thank you.
We're first in on base percentage too.
There you go. The Baltimore on bases. That's got a nice ring. That doesn't
have a nice ring to it.
You know what? If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, and you can dodge these questions. I see.
Yeah, it's I can. It's like a dodge and trade offers.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Hey, if any GMs want to, start talking future deals for the offseason, my DMs are always open.
We already are.
You're not supposed to give away all of our secrets.
Oh, that one I'm okay with. I want some other people to get in on it.
I don't. I want people to stay as far away from that as possible.
That's fair.
I want the cheapest deal. Come on. Fair. But you know what? I think for a first episode, this has been a success, a resounding success.
Yeah, if we're handing out grades, I'd give myself a 10, you an 8.5.
You know what? And I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm a 12 on a 1 to 10 scale. You're a solid 6.5. I mean, maybe the cat running around in the background puts you up to a 7 because we are the fluffy kitty ninjas. But
I know. I think that they're good advertising for the show.
You know what? I really think they are. Next time we need to get you a ball of yarn for your cat just to sit there and play with the entire time we're recording.
I mean, we could do that. We could do that. I don't know where the other one is. I got 2 back there. And
can we give them lightsabers then and do the lightsaber gift that Kamish has?
You know what? If I can get a video of them fighting, I'm gonna send that to Kamish so we can replace the current Jedi cats we got.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Because if you guys don't understand, we are called the Fluffy Kitty Ninja. He's Fluffy Kitty Ninja Kamish, what the FKN stands for. Make sure to check out the Twitch stream to understand.
Not what it originally looks like, what it initially looks like.
That's what I thought when I first saw it. 4-letter words.
He's the F and Kamish.
The 4-letter words we're not allowed to use that are only available for his wife.
Yes.
Daffy. Oh wait, he's on vacation. It's past his bedtime.
We've been pretty clean. We've been pretty clean tonight.
I'm shocked.
I am too, actually.
Because little side story. I think
this is probably all going to get edited out, anyways.
Either I'll edit it or I'll send the raw files to Andrew and see what he does with it. But one of the funny things is when you and I met up in person,
I wasn't exactly sure like what to say and what not to say. And then the language just started flying and we were just talking like we normally would. That's how I thought it was going to be again. And I wasn't against it, but I also knew that Kamish, likes to keep the PG-13 style.
I do think it's kind of funny. We sat and talked for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, and I was visiting Disney with my girlfriend, and so she came to meet you too, and she kind of sat there and watched us talk, and she went, "You know what? I've had enough of this," and she kind of just walked off.
Where did she end up going? Because I saw she just sort of.
She went to the customer relations.
Oh yeah, to figure out your all's tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's like, I'll leave them alone.
We just started talking eMLB. We both had Stats Plus pulled up on our phone, just like going through stuff. It was hilarious.
That was a good time. We really got to organize another get together here, but we also got to organize maybe a bigger one. Maybe we can get all the new guys or all the guys in a certain geographic area, or anybody who can make it. I know JR said that he'd happily hook up people with tickets if anyone can make it up to Cincinnati. Maybe we make Cincinnati a destination point for us.
I got family in Cincinnati that'll let me stay with them. I'll fly up there tomorrow at this point,
My mom's best friend lives in Cincinnati.
Potential GMs, anyone in the community, put down in the, comments if you want to do that. Comment on Discord. We'll figure this out because a meetup sounds like a whole lot of fun. Just imagine if 1 year, like this is just thinking out loud, but imagine 1 year if we could do like the first year player draft in person.
That would be amazing.
We get the board. We're all in suits, and we all have set tables for our war room, and we're all on our computers with the OOTP. And if we have like the community created players, we can get like T-shirts. And
I would be on board with that. I think this league has the production value to eventually do something like that. If everyone's available for it,
we could totally pull it off. Or you have some on there and then some virtual too, but. Kamish does a great job and
does an amazing job.
And Rocky draws with her graphics, and the co-commish when she's able to come on, it's so much fun. And this community is just something completely different. I mean, I think I can say this for myself, but I made lifelong friends because of it, and I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, I can say the same thing.
I mean, I'm the youngest GM in the league at 19, and I think I drafted the second oldest player, like creative person who created a creative player in the draft, Gorgo. So
Gorgalicious Booty Whomper.
Greatest name in the draft. Second to I think it was right after me, Charles drafted a guy named Jeremy Porn.
Yes. Yes. And he had another pick that was on the same kind of naughty. Oh, who was his draft picks? So he had another really good one.
Oh God. Breaking news while we're sitting here recording this episode. By the time it comes out, it probably won't be breaking at this point. Jandy Ronson's training session has been submitted to commissioner for approval. It should make him an 80 overall.
Oh boy.
I hate that I'm in the NL sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he drafted first round Chris Bush, next round Jeremy Porn. That was on purpose. You can't tell me otherwise. He did that on purpose.
Charles is that kind of person too.
Oh, 100%. When I first started really talking to Charles, I wasn't really sure who I was talking to. And as we've gotten to know each other, as we message back and forth, as we talk trash, he's definitely the kind of person. Yeah, he's
a great
awesome
guy though.
One of the best. I don't think I could say anything bad about any GM.
No, I know.
Some guys I haven't really talked to very much. Some guys who I don't interact with. I've never personally talked to Billy Special Dwarf, but we got a great bunch of guys in this league.
No, we really do, and just the random stuff that comes out of it is great. From the guys who have been here since the 1.0 days to the newest guys like Danny and GT, we're all a community, and that's what it's about. Well, this has been a great first episode. The working title of Here's Why You're Wrong. We'll see if that title sticks or if we decide to mess it around with a little bit. I'm Aiden. That's Brenden, the GM of the Orioles. I'm the GM of the Atlanta Braves. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe, like this video so you can tell them you want to see more of our ugly mugs on this screen. I'm pretty good looking, but you got Brenden over there.
I don't know what you're talking about ugly.
I was gonna say we're two great looking guys.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Let's
I
go
have
with
one
it.
of the best beards in eMLB. I can confirm that. Just because most of the guys in the league are clean shaven, apparently.
Well, I'm not for lack of trying.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But this has been another great episode. Thank you so much. Make sure to check out the next Twitch stream. Not sure when this comes out. It depending on when this comes out, it might be Wednesday or Sunday, because I don't think we've changed the schedule yet, but to be determined. They'll have all the info in the description along with the Discord that you can join to get better updates with that.
And maybe whoever's editing this video can leave a little note saying he's wrong. If we're off on which day.
We'll figure it out. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, join the Discord, or follow Commish on Twitch, subscribe here, do all that fun stuff that creators tell you to do that I don't completely understand, but they pretty much do. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.